Welcome into our lives.
And welcome to the Expanders Club podcast.
We're so happy to have you.
Join us as we embark on a journey of deep exploration, soul searching, and asking the hard questions.
With the goal of truly understanding the most aligned, empowered, and purposeful versions of ourselves.
We want to live an extraordinary life, and we're willing to dig deep to find out what it takes.
Buckle up. You're about to meet a new version of yourself, an extraordinary one.
Welcome, everyone, to the Expanders Club podcast. Excited to have you here.
Yes, welcome to the club. This is a club that everyone and anyone is welcome to. I would say, Mads, and tell me if you agree. The only requirement is that you are curious about all the things in life, especially, your own expansion, your own soul's expansion.
Yeah. If you're ready for more, you want to open up your mind to the possibilities, and you have a zest for life. And that is the only requirement for joining the Expanders Club.
Yeah, and we talk about all kinds of fun topics along, just really kind of having to do with life, from health and wellness, nutrition to, longevity, entrepreneurship, spiritual things. Like we've had an amazing tarot reader and psychic on. We've done astrology stuff. So kind of covering all the topics that interest us and have helped add to our own evolution. And it's a lot of fun.
We've had some pretty different people come on. We've also had people speaking about regenerative agriculture, sustainability. We had talking about nervous system regulation, HRV, like health related, mindset related, sustainability related, just like so broad and expansive, but definitely what we're interested in. And that's what's exciting for us. Selfishly.
For sure. There's a lot of pieces to life, right? And we're just kind of bringing them all together as they spike our interest, or the things we've had experience with that have helped us again in our journey of expansion. And, Maddie and I have both been in the wellness space for about 10 years. Maddie's an incredible coach, a lifestyle coach. And I have been an entrepreneur in the wellness space for 10 years with my own businesses. And dabble in all kinds of weird spiritual stuff that if you've been listening from the beginning, you might be onto that. So more to come on that. But this episode is super fun, and it is with a special guest, Zoe Kelsey. She is the founder of a really incredible community for established female entrepreneurs called We Shine Well. And in the episode, we talk about a lot of things. We talk about purpose and the path that Zoe has been on to find her purpose. We talk about community, the importance of community, why she felt driven to build the community she has and is building. And one of the most fun topics that I really enjoyed is we talk about like just going for it. When you feel something in your heart, when you feel like it's your purpose, when you feel like it's meant for you, kind of clearing out the fear and noise and just going for it. And Zoe has done that several times in life, and it's super impressive. And as you know, one of my favorite qualities in people.
Totally. It absolutely is. And I feel like that's the life mission. If you can really recognize what's holding you back, and face things. I feel like, okay, I really want this, go for it, because actually there's more pain in not going for what you want. And she's done it.
Yeah. Clearing that noise. I mean, when you take a moment to think about, a situation where fear is holding you back, it's really just about clearing the noise. And most of that noise, when we start to examine it, is really just inside our own head, right? We're our harshest critics, the voice inside our head.
Exactly.
And so it's really just
us.
It's really just overcoming yourself and then going for it.
Yeah, because if you actually are so passionate about something, if you feel strongly about something, then You can do it. You can pursue that. There's literally nothing holding you back but yourself.
What was the last thing, Mads, that you felt fearful about but powered through and did it anyway?
Most recently, probably stepping into this new career for me. It was getting out of working in a normal salary job and pursuing a career in coaching, or probably starting the podcast as well. Both things that I don't think I ever thought that I would do. And interestingly, Zoe and I both studied at IIN, the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which I thought is really cool. And that purely for me, I just did that for fun, out of interest in 2020 during COVID. I was like, all right, I may as well study. And on the other side was like, oh, I think I just need to become a coach. And I just didn't think that I'd work for myself. And now being able to do it feels so good. Pushing myself to do the podcast with you, this feels so good. And so there's so much reward on the other side. That's just a reminder every time I get scared, I'm like, okay, remember how good it feels when you push yourself. Remember how good it feels when you actually just do it.
Yeah. And I think we've said this before. It's just a muscle, right? And then the more you do it, the smaller that amount of time, the smaller the voice becomes, the smaller the self-doubt becomes. And I'll be honest. I think that outwardly, it seems like I'm pretty fearless, but I would tell you that the voice never goes away. It just becomes smaller and quieter, and whatever the overriding voice is just becomes stronger because you've had so many, like you just said, you've had so many experiences of like, okay, I did it and it worked and it was great and I felt much better than had I been sitting there not doing it. So it's just a constant exercise of will and which voice is more powerful.
What do you think has been the hardest thing for you to overcome? Like, when has that voice been the strongest and the most fearful for you?
Oh, shit. That is a good question. I would say, gosh, running a business for the way that I have really since 2018. So what's that? 6 years or so. The business has been in a stage of growth of really every single day. I'm doing things that are new to me, and a lot of them feel really big and important. So I get the opportunity to exercise that muscle kind of every single day, which is probably why my nervous system is shot. But I don't think you're supposed to exercise it that much. So I think it's less about a single situation, and it's more about running the business and opening your eyes in the morning and being like, okay, I know I'm going to have to put on my big girl pants today. And I know there's going to be shit that I'm going to be afraid of, or are going to bring up stories or trigger things for me that I'm just going to have to face and handle and get done. So yeah, that's more the pattern these days.
Yeah. Yeah. It's constant, isn't it? You've just got to keep going, keep pushing yourself. There's like more fear that comes up all the time, more resistance.
Yeah. And the fears shift. And then they sometimes go away. And, I think it's just a constant exercise in like building your own confidence. So there are things that, months ago, years ago, I would have never thought I could do. I can do those now. So I'm confident in those. But because of the lifestyle that I lead, running a business, or just this like quest for expansion, as we've been talking about, there's going to be constantly going to be new things that I'm up leveling. And the other side of that, like that could sound exhausting, right? And sometimes it is. Sometimes I need a break from it. And I know you do too. But the other side of that is like you and I have talked about this. The thing that's scarier than the things I'm afraid of is living a life of regret, or being at the end of my life and having regrets. Like no regrets really is one of my biggest driving forces.
So true. That is honestly it. That is the one that keeps me up at night. Like, Maddie, what if you don't live to your full potential? Like, it's just this fear of actually just not living the way I'm meant to, doing the things I'm capable of doing, just purely because I've held myself back. That is agony.
The fear of living in fear. Right? There's a fear of letting fear win, which is so interesting and a little twisted, but I think you can keep it to a healthy place and let it motivate you.
Yeah, totally. And this is the practice of also getting out of our heads, because clearly we're in these like loops, these fear loops. It's like, no, we can do this, and you're constantly like talking yourself through it. So it's like, okay, just like get out of my head. Sometimes you just got to get out of your head into your body.
Yeah, and this is a bigger conversation, but I think that once you know your soul's purpose, or I have this belief that the soul's purpose is kind of shifting and up leveling all the time. There's different stages, so maybe there's not one purpose for your soul in this lifetime. But once you are in alignment with your current soul's purpose, then you're operating from a very different place, a very different vibration, and you're being led to do or led into things that are in alignment with you. And that feels very different. That gives you more of this like oomph or push or purpose to do those things versus like, oh, my brain is just telling me maybe this would be good, or my ego's involved here. It's my soul that wants me to do this, and I cannot let my soul down. Like, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. And it's just wouldn't be such a hard push. Like once you're like feeling so aligned, like things come so much easier.
Yes.
It flows for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's all a constant practice, and that's why we're here every week talking about it in different ways, and hopefully sharing stories and tools and reminders that help us all along the path, because it is, like you said, it's a constant cycle. And you hope with every cycle you're up leveling a little bit, but let's hold each other's hands and go through it all together.
Let's hold out each other's hands.
So super excited for everyone to listen to this episode. Zoe's incredible. Her community, if you are an established female entrepreneur, I highly recommend checking it out. It's called We Shine Well. You can follow her at We Shine Well on Instagram to learn more. You can come and hang and follow us at Expanders Club on Instagram and TikTok. And make sure you are tuning in and hanging out with us every week. We launch our episodes every Tuesday. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the places.
Amazing. This episode is inspirational. Zoe's a go-getter. Zoe is a go-getter, and she's just great to listen to. I love what you guys dive into. I think you guys will really love this one.
Thanks, Mads, and thank you all. We appreciate you. Super excited to have you on today, and I feel like it is the perfect timing because we're going to talk a lot about community, and an amazing community that you're building and have built, and that I'm so grateful to be a part of. But I'm coming out of Expo West yesterday, and for those of you who don't know, this is a huge natural products trade show that happens every year in Southern California. And it is just like, it's like the Super Bowl of food and like natural food and products. So it's intense. Not my scene, like not my favorite place to be. I did a bunch of, and I'm curious if you have any of these. I did I had a very intense morning ritual to prepare myself going into this like intense day of just a ton of people, a ton of lights. I did, my Kundalini in the morning. I pulled my tarot cards. I put crystals in my pockets.
Good for you. I mean, I've seen people like walking 10 miles a day there, and it's like Costco samples on steroids. I have not personally been, but I will take your word for it.
Yes. So it's very intense, but coming out of it, and it's exhausting, and it does wear on you. And again, there's just so much about the scene that I don't love. But what I do love, and what I'm feeling so grateful for today, is I got to see a lot of my community and the founders that I've kind of grown up with through growing Good Milk and that have supported me. I've supported them. That's like, I'm just coming out so grateful. And we don't always get a chance to stay in touch because we're all so busy. So this event is a great opportunity to just connect, see each other, give each other a pat on the back. And, you know, as I was saying to you kind of off air, there's this like silent conversation that goes on between founders when certain questions are asked, like, how are you? We all kind of know how we are, and we can tell by the new wrinkles and the looks of exhaustion on our faces that we're all just like in it. We're all in it, but we're in it together. And I'm coming out of that day just feeling so grateful for that community, and just thinking about how community in general just lights you up and fills you up and it's so necessary. And like, where would we be without our communities, especially in this wellness founder entrepreneur space? And that's where what you're building comes in. So do you mind sharing, you know, who you are and what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so my name is, first of all, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me, and so excited for all that's ahead for this podcast and that you're doing.
Thank you.
So my name is Zoe Kelsey. I'm the founder of We Shine Well, and We Shine Well is the first ever community membership and dot connecting concierge for established female entrepreneurs in the wellness space. I can dig more into my journey of how it started, but overall, in essence, like what I was hearing from connecting with and working with these established female entrepreneurs in various capacities was just this sense of like loneliness and feeling this sense of shoulds and coulds and where do I go for all of these resources. So that is kind of the very short version of We Shine Well coming to be, of seeing this need and the opportunity and launching to be able to support these entrepreneurs. And I mean, I believe I'm here to make an impact beyond myself, to support female entrepreneurs in the wellness space, to shine their lights in the world even brighter, to ultimately help the world live well. And like, in my heart of hearts, like, I truly believe that happens when like just us as humans and all of you in our community are feeling supported and inspired to be part of something greater than themselves within community. And we aren't meant to do this life alone. And I think like as women too, sometimes we can really get into this like masculine of like girl boss energy of like, let's go, do. But there's nothing that necessarily beats community. And because at the end of the day, like, we're all looking for a sense of love and belonging, and that's where it's rooted. And I have like a deeper why behind that, of just like a sense of belonging for me, and like especially in this epidemic of like loneliness that we are going through, and post-pandemic world that has changed our lives eternally, for better or worse in various ways. I think so many of us are craving connection more than ever, and that can manifest in terms of like numbing out, but it's like, how can we think of filling the void of numbing out by filling up, being supported, and coming together with these people that help us live out that alignment within ourselves, to be able to kind of be that light in the world. And I believe that we're all truly born to have this light within us and make an impact and purpose in the world that's greater than ourselves. And it's all about identifying, like, how can we identify how we might be sabotaging ourselves and dimming that light, and how can we come together with other people to shine that light even brighter. And that's kind of where We Shine Well comes in as well, is like, how can we come together in community to be able to identify each other's strengths, learn and grow from each other, to be able to shine brighter together in this world and turn those ripples and waves of these great messages and offerings that everybody in our community has, and like that are these established female entrepreneurs in the wellness space, just spread these incredible messages to ultimately help the world live well.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love the community you're building, and it's just so clear too when you look at it from an outside perspective and you see all these different founders and these amazing women doing things that we all want community, but we can't really help ourselves with that. I mean, we try, but
Mhm.
we're putting everything that we have into building our businesses, balancing a family, trying to balance life. I've been in the wellness industry as a founder for over a decade, and the conversation has come up repeatedly and almost relentlessly, like, we need to come together, we need a community, we need to like actually like activate all of our superpowers together,
Mhm.
but we don't have time. Nothing's come of it. And so
Mhm.
having someone like you who has worked with a lot of these women see that and be willing to create that. And you said first ever, and girl, I am such a fan of first evers. I love first evers,
Mhm.
and I love the people creating them. Like they're just like, how freaking cool to see a gap or see something that's needed and be like, cool, I'll just build it. That's pretty amazing. So congrats to you, and there are incredible women involved. And something I love about you, something we try and share with our audience, and I personally talk about a lot, is like, you are creating this massive, beautiful thing to help people on their journey, but you are very much on your own journey. You're not sitting here like, I have life exactly figured out, so let me create this thing
Ha.
that I'm dreaming of. You're have been on a journey for a long time, and I respect and I'm excited to share about your journey, and you're still very much on it. And I think that message is just so important to hammer home. Like, if you have a dream, if you see something big that you want to create, just do it. There's never going to be this perfect time where you're a perfect human and have everything figured out and you're like, okay, I'm ready to be a leader. Like, the women in this group are intimidating. They're incredible. And you have an amazing background too, but like, to not be intimidated by that and bring together women who are as powerful, or, by some standards might be even more powerful, and to help them navigate life and
Mhm.
empower them, like, that is huge. And it takes balls, for like lack of a better word.
Ah.
So like, tell us how you got to this point.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge too that all of our members are also in have taken steps in this world of first. And it takes
Yeah. Yeah.
courage to be able to do that. And we might see somebody's highlight reel of I have this beautiful family and business and everything is put together, but coming together in this community, I think, is so powerful because it's when walls come down a bit
Mhm.
and there's vulnerability of like, I might seem like have the perfect business and everything figured out, but I am like members share that they are overwhelmed and need help in various areas and are here to just like grow with each other. And like, yeah, no, none of us have this all figured out. I'm figuring this out. And I think just as entrepreneurs, especially in starting something, sometimes it can be lonely, and it's also like a manifestation of the evolution of who we internally
Yes.
are as
Yes.
humans, and like what does that alignment look like with ourselves and our business to be able to create those synchronicities of what that life of freedom is that we desire. I mean, I personally think of quote unquote success more so is like, what is this freedom that we can
Yes.
show up in and
Yeah.
have in our lives versus like monetary success with empty happiness. So I just want to acknowledge that first before diving into my story a bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. Freedom. Tell me, freedom is is a huge word for me, and a huge goal, and like kind of my number one value. And like, if you look back through my history, it's like very obvious. But what does freedom mean to you, or what does it look like to you?
It's a great question. Freedom to me means being able to have time freedom and spaciousness in life to be able to prioritize my priorities of family and friends and taking care of myself
Mm-hmm.
and them and making a greater impact in the world and being able to have that time freedom, but also financial freedom to be able to like live that out. But also like through that all, it's knowing in my heart of hearts that I am living out what I am meant to
Yeah.
and being put on this earth to. And like, I don't think we all have this one set purpose, but it
Right.
always evolves as we're continuing to like live into it. And I truly believe that like everything that we go through in life sets us up for where we are here today. Like, I've been through some crap in life, and I know that like I wouldn't be here today if I didn't go through all of that. And I might not have been grateful for it at the time, but looking back, I am grateful to have gone through the journey that I have been. And maybe that's the right time to kind of dive into my journey a bit.
Yeah, let's talk about the crap. Tell
Yeah,
us.
okay, let's get into the crap.
Tell us about the crap that led you here, because there's, unfortunately, I have not heard a story or experienced it for myself. I don't know if there's a way to freedom and to this inflow life and to this, like, you know, greater version of ourselves without the crap. Like, I wish there was. I'm working on trying to figure that out because I don't want my kid to go through the crap. But for our generation, there hasn't been. And so tell us where you're coming from that got you to this place where you are so empowered and so inspired and helping others.
Yeah, so I realized that I'm so passionate about building community because when I was growing up, I never really felt like I fit in or felt a sense of belonging until I started to discover a sense of the sense of belonging starts within me.
Mm-hmm.
So in middle school, I feel like I was just kind of bombarded by all of these choices. It was like going from the In-N-Out small menu to the cheesecake overwhelming menu of choices in life. And in that time, like I felt like I was lacking a sense of control in life. And I like remember specifically when I was in a home ec class and they were talking about, oh, like you have a perfect meal if you have all of these things on your plate. And I was like, check, check, check. Ah, perfect.
Fuck home ec, okay? That class, like, and I think in my school, I think you had to take it all through high school, like every year, like fucking home ec. That class, like, useless. I mean, I guess I know that there's like 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. Like, great, cool. That's what I know from home ec. But that class just, I don't know if this was your experience, but it just, like, I've had many moments in life where, like, recall moments from that class. And I'm just like, was just not a good influence. Not where, not where I think in our world, it was like our home ec classes were very much of like, let us teach you how to be a good woman, a good housewife. Like, we had the fake babies that you had to carry around for a certain amount of time. It taught you like how to make brownies and how to level like the flour and like, fuck, no. Like, there's so many better things we could have been learning with our time.
I mean, I loved the cooking part. Don't get me wrong.
Okay, I liked eating the baked goods. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But yeah. So like, I remember just like being like, check, 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 check. I had the perfect plate and just like this strong memory of like, oh wow, like I did something like perfectly and felt like I could control that. And that was kind of the beginning, I would say, like the beginning of my journey with anorexia. I had anorexia for 7 years and experienced depression. And it was this time frame where I had various family members that had passed in like the 2008 crisis where my dad had like lost his job for a while and he was the primary breadwinner, and there was like tons of stress around money. And it was a time where I had friends, but I'm from a small town where it's like you have your friends from kindergarten through high school because that's who your people are. And in this time of not really like, and I like, don't get me wrong, I have the best family like I could ever have, but emotions weren't really a thing that we talked about. Everything was great until it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know how to deal with emotions and choice and even to know who I was. So through my journey of anorexia and just like recovery, I feel like that was the time where I had gone through so much therapy and inpatient treatment that taught me too of like, wow, like having emotions, and I don't need to be like friends with everybody. And in high school too, I just like lived I tried to be that perfect little cheerleader that was thrown up in the air, that would just be perfect in every way. And I stayed small and I got good grades. And I had the hardest of expectations on myself, living to be good versus understanding who I was, but living into the world's expectations. And like, I'm incredibly grateful for all of the therapy that I had gone through, and I had to like dive deeper into those kind of traumas as well, and just kind of like unpack like, who am I? Who do I want to be friends with? Who do I want to surround myself with? And this is when I just kind of realized that belonging started within me, and started tuning into these like inner murmurings of who I'm intended to be, and started taking this one authentic step at a time that felt like in alignment with me, and just like having faith in like God in the process, and like learning to trust my gut feelings as like guardian angels and this inner knowing. And like, as I went through this process of like recovering, and then in college I started to like develop health issues, but like that was and then I feel like after college was the time when I was just like, I shifted my mindset to like, how can I use food as fuel, and how can I, as I like started realizing that I had like hypothyroidism and osteopenia and all of these things. So then I was like, how can I use food as fuel? How can I help other people? So after college is when I started to like just be that authentic self and attract those friends and relationships, and start to like have this confidence as well. And then like, so I started working in corporate, and in parallel became a certified health coach through IIN. And then after that, I was more so like, oh, I want to make a bigger impact in the world. So from there, I had gone to a couple sessions with Kelly LeVeque, who's a celebrity nutritionist. She's incredible. And then kind of slid into her DMs and was like, hey, Kelly, like, do you have any projects you want to work on? Like, I became a certified health coach, but want to make a bigger impact. She's like, yeah, like, I want to do some courses. Like, great. Never done this before. Well, you haven't either. Like, let's do this.
I mean, that is, first of all, the awakening and learnings that you had at such a young age, even like through college and graduating college, like that's pretty amazing, because that timeline really does give you an opportunity to maximize impact, right? And like live this inflow life for as long as possible. So that's pretty great. I'm a little jealous of that, your early awakening. But this is something that comes up all the time. And it's, for me, a chapter that I'm in, doing some new things in Good Milk, where it's like, just ask for what you want, and like, you're probably going to get it. And so Kelly LeVeque she's incredible, but she's big time. She's a big time celebrity nutritionist. And for you to just ask her like, hey, should we work? Do you want to hire me? Should we work together? Like, that's pretty cool and incredible, and just a great example. And hopefully everyone can just repeat this to themselves and apply it to their lives. If you want something, just ask.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage all of your listeners, if you feel called to do something, like, go for it. Like, my motto is, the worst that you can hear is no. So why not?
Yeah.
So after that, I worked with her for about 3.5 years, launching about 4 memberships, or 2 memberships and 4 courses. And then I was And then at the same time, and still while in corporate, working was like, I kind of want to like go back to like becoming a business coach for these entrepreneurs, these established female entrepreneurs in the wellness space. And then from there, that's when I was kind of hearing more of that need of just this sense of loneliness and shoulds and coulds and like overwhelm of what to do to like grow their businesses. And that's kind of what sparked the idea for We Shine Well, alongside having experience in corporate, leading in global influencer marketing and community strategy and that kind of thing. So kind of in tandem, and having one fit in the more of the wellness space is like my side gig, and then also in corporate learning these skills and just like identifying my strengths of like loving to be that dot connector and being able to see all of these disparate channels and the gems of messages in each of them and bringing them together to make a greater impact. And that like lights me up to make those connections through people, messages, products, whatever it may be, to be able to like support the greater good and marrying like my passion for wellness and those strengths, and even like having a coffee chat with a great friend, Alexandra Cole. She's so a member now, about learning that my human design was a projector and I'm here to guide. Is I'm like, that kind of gave me the permission slip that I needed to be like, okay, I'm meant to be a guide. Like, I don't need to be an expert on everything. I'm meant to bring people together. And that is kind of when I was like, okay, let's try this thing out of We Shine Well, as a community, and support. Sounds like there's a need. So back to, again, like the worst I can hear is no. Might as well do it. Mind you, I have been doing a lot of work with a business and life coach to be actually able to have this, to be actually able to send hundreds of cold outreach emails to experience rejection and have this business as a manifestation of like who I'm evolving to be, and just like so beyond excited and feeling like this is what is meant for the world.
Yeah, I love that. And like, let's be clear for everyone, when you decide to, step into your journey and to pursue what makes you happy, what feels good, what feels like your purpose at all costs, it's not like it's rainbows and butterflies and sunshine. There's, a lot of times we talk about the stories or hear the stories of like, this is what was created and how great it is. But the path to get there is often some of the hardest stuff that you have to do. And even, from the moment you make the decision, it's like, okay, there's a bunch of new learnings coming my way on this. So I'm sure it wasn't like you were like, oh yeah, I'm going to start this group. Now let me just reach out to everyone who I think should be in it and let's just build it. What have been the hard things along the way, and how do you work through them?
That's a great question. So I think the hardest part is starting.
Yes.
Because it's like having a blank sheet of paper in front of you and being like, okay, I feel like there's something here, but where do I go? So I think the hardest part is starting, but also like trusting, going back to that inner knowing of like, I have always known within me that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Even going back to high school when Sweet Greens wasn't a thing yet, I created this poster board and pitched my dad and cut out all of these pictures of like, you pick out your grain or your lettuce and you do this. And
oh my
like,
God.
That'll never work. So I joke with him now that I would have made millions, but that path wasn't for me.
No more pitching dad and taking his advice.
No, but I think it just goes back to like trusting that inner knowing of like, I know that I'm meant to make an impact bigger than myself. Like, what is there a need for, and how can I meet that need in a unique way to support other people, and not everybody is going to be receptive of it. And I think one of the biggest things too is knowing that not everybody is for you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But finding those people who in the beginning, they're the ones who are going to be your advocates in moving forward. But also, it's like vitally important, I believe, to have those people, for me at least, to have those people in my life who they are guides and they're there to support me, to have my own community to feel supported in this. Like I mentioned, I have a business and life coach, and like literally working with her has like helped transform my life. And
Yeah.
I think therapy has been so incredible in my life, but right now coaching is transformational to
Yeah.
be able to have
Yes.
my past inform where I am today, but helping and moving forward, in being able to do that. Because I think I shared this with you, like I've reached out to over 800 people, like as like well vetted people to become members.
Yeah.
So it is a process, and it can be draining to experience rejection, but you just have to keep going and get the momentum. You're going to hear more no's than yeses, but it's not about being guided by the no's. It's being guided by that inner knowing within you to continue.
So I think a few things interesting with what you just said. One, like we have no control over people's mindset, their timing, what's going to be right for them. And we know this stuff all logically, right? And like we can't take any of it personally. We know this all logically, but putting yourself out there in the way that you have, not only in saying like, hey, will you support me in my business, but will you join me in this business and be a part of, be a part of what I'm building? That is such a vulnerable feeling. And hearing no's, or even people just not even getting back to you, like that's hard. I'm sure it's very similar to my experience, and a lot of founders' experience is fundraising. Like you take it very personally, because it feels like a personal representation. You're putting your heart and soul into it. So what has helped you kind of along the journey maybe take stuff less personally, or kind of get over those moments quickly?
Well, I think maybe giving your listeners a little context too. We Shine Well officially launched in October, and it is the means for gaining members has all been cold outreach to well-vetted, established female entrepreneurs in the wellness space, and to join for free, to have that try before you buy experience and showcasing the value of this community. So I just wanted to provide that tidbit as well. And I think it takes a lot of work, to be honest, to detach the personal from other people's rejections, and identifying like what we hear from other people is most likely a projection of what they're
Yes.
experiencing. It's
Yeah.
not necessarily anything to take personally. It's something that is happening in their life, and it doesn't mean that a whole host of other people are going to be no, but I think about it as, how can I think of that door closing so that other doors
Yes.
can continue to open? And I think one in the world of rejection, I think that is just like confidence in being like, having that steadfast hope and trust in like what I have and whatever your listeners have that they're working on is what they're meant to be doing. And like, I have deep rooted trust and faith that what I'm doing is making an impact, and We Shine Well is making an impact in the world. So it's kind of having that, I don't have a shadow of a doubt in my mind that this is driving impact and value. So that is kind of the momentum that drives me forward, and trusting I don't know necessarily what I'm doing, but I'm learning as I go. And the best way to learn is just to do and to continue
Yes.
to move forward. And I think one of the best lessons I did learn working with Kelly Levesque too is learning the art and science of pivoting. Because like,
Yes.
as this is a founding membership, I even tell our members, like, you are a founding member. I want to make sure that we're co-creating this membership together to be of utmost value to them as well as future members, because I don't know it all. They know
Yes.
their needs better than I do, and I'm here to hear them and have We Shine Well be a space and community for them to feel accepted and gain and feel that sense of belonging with people that are like just get it, have their
Yes.
backs, are those
Yep.
community of givers. They're here to turn those ripples into waves together of that like greater impact and just like grow and keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And you're doing a great job. And there's something I want to touch on and just like have a candid conversation and get your opinion. I've had a lot of thoughts lately around, and I see a lot of my friends doing this, and I am just done with free. I'm done with giving away stuff for free. I'm done with accepting stuff for free. I see so many of my friends like that have written a book or have done these incredible things that they've poured their heart and soul in, and they're like, oh well, I can give it to them for free. Or do you want, tickets to an event that they're hosting? Oh, do you want free tickets? And it's like, no, I don't want free, because I know the work you've put into this and there's value to that. And maybe like a barter or a discount is one thing, but there needs to be a value, an exchange for value. And women, and I don't see men doing this, but I see women kind of, that's their like first go-to, and it breaks my heart a bit because there's some underlying things there. A lot of the time it's like, well, let me prove myself that I'm worth it. But it's like, girl, you already, like, just by creating, you've proven yourself. And like, let me give you something in exchange for that value. You bring value. So it's just something that's been on my mind a lot lately, is like, I'm done with free. And the barter, I do love a barter, like an exchange for an exchange. That's something different, but it just doesn't feel good anymore to like take things for free, see my friends give things for free, to give things myself for free. Like, and I think it's not, like, we need to be having the conversation more. And I've called out so many of my girlfriends for it and been like, no, I'm not taking that for free, or I'm not letting you give that away for free. And it's such an empowering conversation to have with one another too. And I think it's a moment of like, it allows the giver to be like, okay, there's some underlying things here I need to think about of why I'm willing to give my life's work away for free. So just curious, any thoughts you might have on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on like a lot of factors too, of like individually for the person, the business, what
Totally.
it is, and that kind of thing as well. But I do believe like what we, whether monetarily or energetically, invest in something like is like is a result of how much we are like monetarily putting into it. So I think if somebody is paying for if somebody is not paying for something, they're less likely to engage in it.
100%.
If I'm being honest, and if I'm being very transparent with We Shine Well, I'm like, this is new. I have to get people in the door, kind of like that first sample kind of thing, and then to be able to like, yeah, I mean, to your point, I am here to prove the value of We Shine Well for people to want to convert. And I think in this time period of being free, it's a double-edged sword, where on one hand people are like, this is incredible, like I want to join and I'm reaping the benefits of free. But there's also the other side of it, is that, okay, this is free, so I don't really have to
I don't have to
engage.
pay attention.
I'll do what I will with it. So I believe that as founding members are converted to paying members, there will be I mean, don't get me wrong, we have great engagement now, but I see there being increasing engagement, because as we do invest monetarily, we're more likely to energetically invest and see the value of something that we are engaging with, and making it's more of a choice too.
Yes.
Like, I am choosing to put both my energy and money towards this, as well as time. And we all know time is our most valuable asset. So I think there is a time and a place for free, and it depends on a lot of different circumstances. And I think that payment is or charging is really incredible. I've even listened to podcasts with like Kathy Heller, and she's like, we need to charge, like, women need to charge their worth. So people are energetically charged in exchange for
Yes.
that
Yes.
value that's being provided. And I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to start paying. So take my money. How has community impacted your life?
Yeah. I mean, I think, like I was saying before, I don't feel like I had that true community, or rather allowed that true community and sense of belonging into my life, until I started to accept myself for who I am. And even acknowledging, like, for a time I was like, I had neglected to love myself for a
Yeah.
long time. And
Yeah.
just like having that realization and being like, what does that even mean to like love myself? Where I grew up in a family where like my parents are the most selfless people you will ever meet. So it was like always give, give, give. And I didn't necessarily learn firsthand how to take care of myself. So that's something that I am still learning, and in the process of balancing taking care of myself, but also like having a business and a job, and prioritizing all of my priorities at the same time, and juggling all of the balls. So I think it goes back to, like, for your listeners, I would just like get clear with them. I would recommend them getting clear with themselves too, of like, do you love yourself? Like, even asking themselves that question, like looking in the mirror in your own eyes. And that can be hard. Like, I know that was hard for me. And then once we are in that place too, I feel like that is the place then where it's less of force and more of flow, of being like, I know who I am, and I am taking steps each day and making choices one by one to be able to invest in that version of myself. And even like, I've heard multiple people talk about it too, is like, comparison, and I agree, is comparison is the thief of joy.
Yep.
And how can we not compare ourselves to anybody else? Social media, whatever it may be. But how can we get really clear on who that future version of ourselves is that we want to live in alignment with, so much so that that is our North Star for how we live and make the choices on a daily basis, to be able to live into who that person is, not just for ourselves, but to be able to fill our own cups up, so that we are able to show up in the world to love others well, and be open to love, and creating that space for community, and like like even a realization that I've had recently too, is like, as women, we have lived to, or we have, like, society tells us to like be small, but then do all of these things in the world that you are like perfect. But like, a realization that I've had recently is like, I've had the fear of what it means to take up space, and what taking up space actually means. And I've redefined for myself, is taking up space means, how do I take time to nourish myself, mind, body, and soul, to be able to have that energy and up level my energetic frequency
Yeah.
to be able to live at this higher vibration state and just be able to like have this calm, proactive, just like loving energy over reactive and stressed, to be able to be clear on who I am, to be clear on how I show up in the world. And you know, those people in your life that are just those like vibrant lights that you're like, you are just infectious. I want to
Yes.
be around
Yes.
you. And I've had the opportunity to like have some of those people in my life that just make me want to be more like that.
Yeah, it's magnetizing, and you know, it's magnetizing you, but you brought up kind of the foundation of it and the only place to start, because you can do a lot of work in different directions, but what you said, do you love yourself? If you need to get aligned with that before you can kind of be successful on this journey of life, really. Like, how could you, if you don't love yourself, how could you love others? How could you trust yourself? How could you feel confident to build the things that you want to build? And I love that you're saying that, because it's come up, we've only launched like 8 or 9 episodes, and this is the second time, and it's probably come up others, but another time it came up really clearly was with Alyssa Goodman, who is a part of We Shine Well. And Alyssa is one of those magnetic, glowing people, and she's going to be 64. And we were just like, what? You look like you're in your 30s. Like, what's the secret to this like glow and this vibrancy that you have? And her answer was the same as what you just said. She was like, you have to love yourself. I needed to learn how to love myself. And she was like, and I wasn't able to do that until like 4 years ago. So girlfriend, you are ahead of the curve. You are going to have a really amazing life, because you're just on the right path. And another thing that Alyssa shared on her journey to figuring this out and on her journey to loving herself was that she had that conclusion when she did mushrooms, when she did psychedelics, which I just love and enjoy. And I'm a fan of, microdosing, macrodosing, all of the alternative plant medicine. But curious, you mentioned human design, which I love as well. And for those of you who don't know what human design is, we've talked about it here and there a few times, but it is a little bit of a roadmap of like who you came to this world to be. And like, really, for those of us who have experienced the language of human design, it's like a reinforcement, like you said, of like, oh, you're called to this. Well, actually, you were built for that. So go and do it. And so I know that you use human design as a tool on your journey, but you are, wise beyond your years, and you are really truly living the journey to be in flow into freedom. What are your like go-to tools or practices that you use to keep yourself in that flow?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. That means a lot. I've always been told that I'm an old soul. My aunt would joke that when I was 13, she was like, you're 13, you're in a 13-year-old's body, but you're actually like in your 30s. But going back to the question is like, what do I do to live in flow? I mean, I'm a work in progress, as most humans are, but a few of the things that I do is each morning I will go, I mean, I have a little routine that I do, but like each morning I will go on a walk around my neighborhood before starting the day, and I ask myself a few questions. One is, what is one thing I'm uniquely grateful for? 2 is, how do I want to feel today? 3 is, what is my area of focus? 4 is, what is one way I'm going to invest in others? And 5 is, what is one way I'm going to invest in myself, so that I kind of have clarity on my day and how I want to show up and what I'm prioritizing, because I believe that we prioritize our priorities. I make sure to like, if I've also trained myself within the day, the work day, if I don't take a 30-minute break to like go outside, I can't focus. I prioritize friends and family like after work and working out and going to workout classes before the workday because I work at home and I am an extrovert and I need the energy in the morning. A boundary that I have is not working on Saturdays. But then I also breath work has been
Yep.
transformational for me because I've done so much like more of that mental work, but the somatic element of the combination of mental and physical and that true release has been incredibly powerful. I also feel like lymphatic drainage massages, like there is such a release with that to get everything literally flowing in the right direction
Yes.
that it's
Yes.
meant to. Journaling and meditation. I've
Yep.
started using the Superhuman app recently. I don't know if you've heard of it, but like it is incredible and the music makes you feel like you're living in a movie to just like again put that somatic and mental aspect of just life together to be able
Yes.
to like, take those steps forward towards living that most authentic self.
I think that's such an important part of the journey, realizing like the brain, the soul, the to work and flow with the body. The body holds so much wisdom. It is literally what's carrying us through this life. And like for me, for a long time, I've had for my whole life probably I've had a major disconnect from my body. I was physically abused as a kid. In my adult years, like running a business, my body would get tired before my brain. And so I found it really frustrating and like always wanted out of my body. I got diagnosed with Lyme disease. And that is like, you very much don't want to be in this body that now is really holding you back. So the realization of like, cool, I can do all this spiritual work. I can have all these thoughts and ideas and understandings in my head. But if I don't integrate that into my body, like I'm not going to get to this place that we're talking about of freedom and flow where I want to be. And so that's my biggest journey right now, is just like loving on the body, integrating in the body, helping the body let go of the traumas of the past, and also giving freedom to the body. So thanks for bringing that up. And I think it's a really important part of the journey. And for some people, that's where they start, because we've all had that experience, right? Like in a yoga class or a HIIT class or some kind of workout where you've like, something's come up, like you're in the middle of class and this like traumatic event or emotion or this profound thought comes up, and like that's being released from the body. And so I think we've all had little hits of that experience of like understanding how the body integrates with it all. And that's where some people start, because it's like they're just doing stuff for their body, and then it's like, whoa, this set me down a rabbit hole. But I think it's just so important to understand. And for people listening, something that's super easy on days where I don't have time to do a workout or like really put the effort in, I'll just turn on Spotify and like dance to a couple songs.
Yes.
And just like dance as if no one's watching, because usually no one is. But that is enough. Like that's enough to get your body feeling in a good place, to release some stuff, to bring up some stuff sometimes. So it's not this like our body is ready and willing to like do the work. We just got to put a little bit of love and attention into it.
I love that you bring that up too, because something that I'm working on is bringing more fun and play into my life. And I think it can be so underrated. But like when I personally am working on rewiring my brain for this joy and pleasure, it's like life is just like it's the place where we don't take life as seriously and we just can enjoy life. Like I was dancing in the parking lot the other day to my friend being like, this is my new favorite song. That's like my pump up song. It's like what is everybody's pump up song? Like we all need to have that like go-to pump up song that's like, yeah, I'm starting the day, or like I need a little energy boost. I even have like a little trampoline. Sometimes I'll just break that out, play a song. How can you not feel better? while dancing on a trampoline to a song.
Yes, I love that. And great lymphatic benefits. Like, yes, yes. Like
Multitasking.
yeah, this work doesn't always have to be hard. It can, and that's a great reminder. It can be joyful and fun, and a lot of it is. So like, yeah, if you're kind of skeptical or don't know where to start, or both Zoe and I recommend coaches, like especially if you have something big you know that you want to accomplish. But if you don't want to start there, or aren't sure, or like don't want to spend money on an app or anything like that, just turn on some freaking music and dance and see where it goes.
What is your favorite? Do you have a go-to pump-up song right now, or hype song?
Oh my God. I do.
What is it? I have to hear it.
Well, I wonder if this will surprise people. So it changes. For my last one was, and it was like, I go for a couple months where I can listen to the same song every day, 100 times a day. It's probably so annoying to my husband. Actually, I know it is. But Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys was my last one. And it was like,
nice.
And we have a cold plunge. So it kind of ties into that. Like my pump up song is for that, but then also I incorporate it throughout the day in my dance moves.
I love that.
But there is a mix that I found on Spotify of Lana Del Rey's Summertime Sadness. Like not necessarily the most upbeat song, but this like remix, like techno version of it is, and it's so freaking fun. And that's been my song for like the past like month or so.
Nice. I love
What's yours?
My current one, again, it is also coming out of an Instagram reel that was just about like healing for the queen you are today. But I listened to the song and like I love that, and imagine it's just Lil Boo Thing, and now I have the playlist on Spotify that I listen to.
I love that's awesome. Yeah.
A couple past ones have been like Living My Best Life by Ben Rector and Macklemore, Ceiling Can't Hold Us. It's always a go-to.
Love it. There's some, oh God, I'm so bad with this stuff, the names and stuff, but there was like a Cinderella song that I had for a while too that was like, forgot I was a bad bitch was like one of the lines. I was like, oh yeah. But it's so fun, and like, yeah, I think the important thing to like have fun with it. Also, something that is going to sound crazy to people, I just got like Spotify, like I've been one of the last people on Pandora for the last decade, and my husband's a musician. He's very into music, and he's kept being like, why are you using Pandora? Go on Spotify. And I wasn't even using the paid version of Pandora. I was like, I just like to be surprised by songs. Like 2 weeks ago, I was finally like, dude, I need to find these songs on specific songs so I can play them in the cold plunge. And he invited me to his paid version of Spotify, and I'm like, this has changed my life. Like,
wow, life changer.
Yeah, like I'm like, this is bringing me so much joy. Spotify is so great. Like having access to whatever song I can think of. A little slow to the movement, but better late than never.
You're ahead of me. I don't pay for Spotify now. You just passed me on the freeway.
It's a game changer. It's really brought some joy to my life. I don't even know how much it costs, but I think it's worth it.
It always gives me a hard time on my music choices that are not up to the current day and age. But whatever I'm listening to makes me happy, and that's what matters.
Exactly. What does the future look like for We Shine Well?
Well, in this coming out of this conversation, especially, founding memberships will start to be paid.
Pay the girl.
In the coming months, you will be the first paying member. I will come to you.
Excellent.
Just
Please.
Kidding. But I am incredibly excited because this week actually have launched what we call Shine Circles, which are micro communities within niche, locale, and life stage, like mompreneurs, for members to connect within the niche of wellness, to niche down a little bit more with peers that just get it and have those deeper conversations. And peers within our community are leading those. So super excited for those. We also haven't announced this yet, are going to have our first summit in LA in May.
Woohoo.
So,
All right.
yes. So I love virtual, but nothing beats in person. So we'll
Yeah.
be bringing everybody together and continuing to grow the membership in a way that all of our members are well vetted to make sure that this is a community that is all kind of in similar stages of their businesses and can support each other, and continuing to always evolve to meet the needs of our members and be of value to all of you. So if anyone is listening and interested in becoming a member, highly recommend going to WeShineWell.com and applying to become a member there. And you can check out a good handful of our members on our Instagram at WeShineWell.com to just get a taste.
Yeah, and as a member, I highly recommend it. Zoe, you are so thoughtful in the way everything's put together. It's so easy to communicate with people, to meet new people. The educational stuff that you've put out and the virtual like classes or sessions have been incredible. And it really is such a powerful, cool, incredible group of women. So congrats on what you're building, girl. It's awesome.
Well, that means the world. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Last question that we like to ask our guests. Can you, in one word or one sentence or more, whatever it takes, really, can you tell us what, your past self, your present self, and your future self look like?
Yeah. To keep it sweet and short, I will say past would be force of forcing what I thought was meant for me. Present would be flow of living into alignment what is meant for me, and future would be vibrant of how can I show up and live the most vibrant version of myself and make an impact to help other people do so as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Well, the vibrancy is already happening. You are vibrant, and it's amazing to see you in flow and hear your story and, know just like you're building this amazing thing, but you're in it the same way that we all are. You're working on it. You're on the journey of figuring out how to be your best version of yourself. And like the reality is that journey probably never ends, right? Like, so like we said, enjoy it, have fun with it, and like just be grateful to have the mindset of growth and, heading into a life that's free and easy and exactly you. And thanks for creating a space that empowers all of us to do exactly that. It's pretty incredible. And I know it's early days, but amazing things are going to come out of this group. So thank you. Thank you for creating it.
Well, thank you for being this light, and I'm just incredible and like in awe of all of our members for the lights that they are, and for all of the people in my life who have been just those expanders, to the name of the podcast, for me in my life to be able to make a greater impact and bring such incredible people together. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about riding the waves of life. There are always going to be waves, but how can we learn to ride them?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks for reminding all of us the power of community and our own power. And yes, you are indeed an expander. So thank you so much, Zoe.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.